So the other one broke right off, but that one wasn't far behind it. We have a 2014 Ford Taurus. And it's got some lights on the dash. So I ran a quick scan of the car and front left wheel speed sensor. So this is what's causing the ABS and the traction control and the stability lights to come on. What else we have? Driver's mirror, catalyst system efficiency less than threshold. See, here in Michigan, we don't have to fix this. There's no testing on the cars here. We can just ignore that code. And then, okay, yep. So front left wheel speed sensor. So that's going to be our issue right there. So let's chase that one down. So I went ahead and lifted the car so that the tires are just off the ground. And I went into the live data for the ABS, and I'm going to roll with my foot just like this. That's the right rear tire. And when I roll it, there's the speed. And I can come over here. This is going to be the left rear. So I'll roll the tire. There you see it. Roll it again. Okay. Now the front two are going to roll together. One's going to roll, I'm going to roll this back, and then the passenger side over there is going to roll forward. So we should see both the left front and the right front give us a readout here. And we're not. We're only getting a readout from the right front. Now for anyone that doesn't understand, the car's in park and there's a differential in the transmission. This is not an all-wheel drive car. So when I roll this tire backwards, that tire over there is rolling forward, which is why it's giving us a reading on the right front, because the right front tire is moving. So is the left front, and it's not giving us a reading. So the speed sensor for the left front tire is bad, so let's change it. With the tire off the car and the steering wheel turned to the right, we get a good view of our sensor. It lives right here in the aluminum steering knuckle. It's plastic. It's retained by an 8mm bolt. Here's the wire that runs up through here. I don't see the connector. Must be behind the splash shield here. We'll pull the splash shield off so we can access the connector, and we'll run a quick continuity test on the sensor. We've got what looks like some 5.5mm fasteners, and then maybe an 8 over here. Probably supposed to be a plastic Christmas tree pin right there that's not there. Well, there's the connector. Ooh, I see something. Let me get you guys in here for a look. With the splash shield peeled back here, we can see our connector. And what I don't like, it just looks like this wire is just way too tight. Like the wire shouldn't be going and then making such an abrupt turn into the connector. I don't know if something got pulled at some point, but look at this. If I can get you guys up here. Oh. Jeez Louise, have a look at the top of this connector right here. There it is. Green crusties, the wire broke right off. Look at that. So that's a problem. I mean, that is the problem. I'll bet you that the sensor itself is fine. This is the car side of the harness right here. And then this is the sensor. So I'll bet you we fix this right here, and we're going to fix that problem. So let me get the rest of this splash shield out of the way so that I can film repairing that. I pulled the splash shield right out entirely, just to make filming this a lot easier. You could have just, if I wasn't filming it, I would just bend it back and tuck it behind the strut. But anyway, it was only like a handful of plastic retainers on that side. With that out of the way, we can have a better look at what's going on here. And there's just no way that that came from the factory with that much of an angle. That wire's just pulled too tight. So I'm looking around thinking maybe at some point this car was involved in a minor front end collision that had body work done and they didn't put it back together quite right. And I think that's the case because when I pull this harness up, there's actually a retainer right here that's broken off. It's supposed to look like this one right here. And it probably went in that hole. You can actually see, well, I don't know if you guys can see. Yeah, you can see just a little bit. You can tell something used to be in that hole. So I'll bet you that used to sit over here like that, which would pull that whole harness over and give this a little more slack. Oh, actually, look at this, yeah. So you can see that these two are different colors. Maybe you can, I can. But look at, there's a bolt missing. There's a body bolt missing right there. So that's exactly what happened. But I think what we're gonna do is, I'm going to replace this connector because there's no fixing that once that corrosion gets in there, and more than likely I wouldn't be able to depin that anyway. So I'm going to replace this connector with a pigtail that's got longer wires on it so it won't be pulled so tight. Yep, that's what happened. It's always nice when you find the damage like this, because sometimes you're working on cars and you're replacing sensors, and then if your diagnosis wasn't spot on, you're hoping, you got your fingers crossed, hope this fixes it. Well, when you find something like this, that's clearly the problem. Without a doubt, that's the problem. So you can get some of the dirt. It's just packed with dirt. Well, it's clean on this side, so that's good. Okay. See if the corrosion, if that green crustiness would have made its way through the front side and contaminated the sensor side of the connector, we would have to replace that because there's no fixing that, but it's clean. So let me get one of these ordered up here, and oh, look at that. Can you guys see that? There's a break in the wire right there. I don't know if you can see that shiny copper. I'm assuming that's just from it being bent, because I didn't use a razor knife or anything to cut that open, but well, it would have failed there anyway. That's interesting. Maybe this wire's just that brittle. I don't know. All right, well, we'll cut it back. Yeah, you can really see it now. We'll cut it back a few inches here, and let me see if I can find one of these connectors. So it has been an extensive amount of time, and I received this connector from the parts store, but there's an issue with it, and let me show it to you. There's always an issue. Nothing goes smooth. So the issue is it doesn't plug in because there's a little tang on the bottom right there. If you look straight on, you can see the difference in the connectors. Everything else appears to be the same except that little tang. I can't get, well, locally where I am, my parts stores cannot get me the correct connector for this. So as much as I hate to do that, well, let me explain why there's a tang there. So when I ordered the wheel speed sensor for this car, when I looked it up, two of them showed up. And the only difference I could see on the two is it said one was for vehicles with painted brake calipers. And what they mean by that is painted from the factory. So there's actually two wheel speed sensors. And one of them has this style and one of them has it without. The difference between these two sensors, they look identical with the exception of one's got some heat shielding on it. I know you guys can't see through the bags, but I looked through them and I didn't open them because I'm going to send them back. They look identical other than that, but what the difference is one of them's for a Taurus show and the other one's for non-show. Well, I can't get the right connector, so I hate to do this, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to grind that tab off, that little tang on the bottom of that connector right there. I'm going to grind that smooth so that that will then plug into this right here. And I will make a mark on here so that in the future, if anyone's having to replace this ABS sensor for whatever reason, and they go to plug it in and they realize it doesn't plug in, they're going to say, wait, what's going on here? Because if you put the other one in, it's not going to read the right speed and it's going to throw everything off. So I hate to do it, but I can't get this connector. I can't get it. So the pigtail side. So we're going to do it. We're going to fix it. Okay, so with the tab gone, let's see. Yep, it plugs right in. So I'll put a mark on the bottom of this so in the future, if anyone's ever replacing this ABS sensor again, they'll figure that out. But this is going to work for us. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm going to cut this behind that. And then I'll bring it in so you guys can see it. See how that wire was, that one was breaking too. So the other one broke right off, but that one wasn't far behind it. I think it was because it was pulled so tight. If you use these style butt connectors, these insulated butt connectors, don't squeeze so hard that you break through the plastic. It's important to keep this sealed from the elements, or else we'll end up right back where we were. I was going to use regular non-insulated butt crimpers, wire crimps with heat shrink tubing, but I'm all out of the correct size heat shrink tubing. I didn't have any, so we had to go this route, and it'll work just fine. My little bugger, get in there. Well, they both don't want to fit in there. All right. One more issue that we have to overcome here is the original plug had this little tab on the back of it where it would lock into place and hold the wiring harness. Well, we don't have that. The new one doesn't have that. It's just smooth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a small little plastic zip tie, put a couple bends in the end of it like that. And then you feed it in there, and then you pull it through, and then we'll just use a zip tie to hold the wire harness up there. And it'll be fine, because you got to remember that the splash shield pancakes this into place. Let's see if that's... Get the wire how it wants to be. Boy, I cannot see. Where Where's my light at? I need another light. Okay. There. I'm going to get another zip tie, and I'm going to zip tie that like that, just so that wire doesn't have the ability to pull tight like it was. Okay, now before we go any further, we can prove that this vehicle is fixed before we put the splash shield on and put the tire back on. Got the scan tool hooked back up. We're going to go into the ABS. And let's see here, data stream. And we want left front wheel speed. That's already selected. Right front. Okay, we don't need the rears. And we'll graph them just to make it easier to see. Okay, there's left and right, and now I'm gonna take my foot, spin the brake rotor, and we have a signal. We had no signal before, and this is our left front, so we have a signal now. And they pretty much mirror each other, so I'm gonna put the rest of that back together, and then we'll go test drive the car with the scan tool hooked up, and we'll graph the wheel speeds, and I bet you it's gonna be fixed. There, that's better than a little paint mark on there. So anybody that pulls this off is going to be able to see remove tab on wheel speed sensor to fit connector. So there we go. All right, we're back in the car, and I just ran a quick scan. It's going to be the same stuff, front left wheel speed sensor, and then some other stuff, and of course the catalyst efficiency. But we're going to go ahead and clear the codes. We'll even turn the check engine light off for a minute for the customer. And then we're going to go into ABS. And we're going to graph, we're going to go data stream. We're going to graph all the tires, and we'll go for a quick ride here. So let's see here. Left front wheel speed sensor. And then we want right front wheel speed sensor. Left rear and right rear. Okay. And then we'll graph them. You can see all our wheel speeds are consistent, and we have no lights on the dash. Ford Taurus, ABS, wiring repair. If you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching.